Well, it looks like Colorado football may have unlocked the secret to a successful football program, specifically a successful offense. Let's listen to Pat Shurmur here.
Somewhere in here, we just got to get connected as a team. So when you look at it, let's look at some of the comparisons from a year ago offensively, right? So total offense a year ago, 14.8 points, 303 yards. This year, and this is through 9 games, this year we're 30.7 points, almost 400 yards of offense. Passing, you see their numbers there last year, 189 yards. They had 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, right? This year, we're almost to 3,000 yards in 9 games. 24 touchdowns, most important, 3 interceptions. I mean, that's excellent, all right? When you look at what we've done there, that's really, really good stuff. Now, the area that we need to get better is rushing. And in this league, I got to get used to it because the sack yardage goes against the rushing yardage. And just that, generally speaking, overall, we can be better at running the football because not only do you run the football for your offense, you run the football for your team. All right? And I think that's a piece that we got to start to come to grips with. All right? But you can see, as in comparison to a year ago, where we're at, we are on the right track. And I think what happens sometimes is we sit in here and talk about all the things that we need to do better, right? And we get after you and get after you. But some of us need to understand there's a lot of good things happening here. There's a lot of really, really impressive people here.
So this video was brought to us by Well Off Media yesterday, and it shows both the offensive and defensive coaches, Pat Shurmur specifically for the offensive coordinator, talking about the offensive production versus last year and the fact that, you know, something that most of us knew, which is our offense versus last year is a much more productive offense. The problem is that it's all centered around passing and we had no run game. Specifically, he talked about the fact that there were 1,705 yards last year passing and this year was 2,885 yards. So a significant difference in yardage in the pass game. And then rushing last year, we had 1,024 yards at this point. And this year we have 622. And then he went on to talk about the area that we need to get better in is rushing because, and I want to say specifically, run the football for your offense, run it for your team. Now, I think what we have unlocked here is the fact that time of possession means a lot in football. And the whole reason for the time clock is that you want to own it. You want to own the time clock. You want to do everything you can to keep that clock running and keep it away from the other team. The way that you do that predominantly is to keep a running game in the bag. At least a 50-50 run. Some teams even go and they run a little bit more than they pass. We're not ever going to be that team, at least not with the weapons that we have in our receiving core and Shedeur as our quarterback. But when you abandon the run, you give the other team the ball way too often, and they can hurt us. And it also hurts our defense, too, because they're on the field a lot more, and we don't need that. So Pat Shurmur has come in after 9 games and figured out the secret to college football that we need to run the ball. So this is super exciting. This is like, if you watch this channel at all, heck, if you watch any channel for that matter, you're going to hear run the ball, run the ball, run the ball a lot. If you go back through my Twitter, when I'm at the games, it's like every other tweet that I have. And I felt ashamed to really bring it up because at the same time, I knew Shedeur was our quarterback and I want him to have the ball and I want him to get it to Travis Hunter because I figured at the beginning of the season, this was going to be a combo that's going to end all combos in the country from a receiver-passer for stat reasons. What I didn't expect is that we would completely abandon basically every other part of our offense. So it's really great to hear Pat Shurmur come out and say this. And it seems like maybe this last home game in Arizona coming up is going to have a big change to it. Because we knew Pat Shurmur was the kind of co-OC going into at this last home game at Oregon State. And I expected, and I think along with everybody else expected, somewhat of a change at offensive structure, and it didn't happen. It didn't seem like we changed anything, actually. And then now looking back on it, it may have just been a little bit more of a last-minute thing. They had already had the playbook written for OSU, and They just wanted a new OC to call it, maybe make some in-game adjustments, but you weren't going to see a lot in that game. I'm going to pin that on that. Okay, I get it. If you spend all this time, you can't restructure everything in one day and have your entire team out there not knowing what's going on. So I get it. Now we have a full week before Arizona. Arizona is going to be a very tough team. Oh my goodness, they're going to be tough. They're hot right now. They want it. We need a change in our offense, and it feels like Pat Shurmur's going to give it to us. It really does. I can't be more excited than I am right now. I'm going to be pouring stuff out all week because I cannot wait until 10 a.m. Mountain Time, Saturday morning, where we get to unleash thunder and lightning. Thunder and lightning. We're going to empty the bag. We're going to empty the running bag. Everybody's going to play. Offerdahl's going to be out there. Wilkerson's going to be out there. Smoke's going to be out there. We're just going to give them the entire running quiver and see if Arizona can digest it. Just unleash running heck on them and see what happens. So now that's a lot to talk about this morning specifically, just off of a small well-off media video that came out that showed Pat Shurmur talking about our run offense. But it reinvigorated me. It reinvigorated what word am I going to say here? My hope that Colorado football is going to understand where they can be successful, what they can change in order to unlock the passing game. Because that's what the run game does. The run game will unlock the passing game to another level. Like we are going to see once we unlock the run game, we are going to see Shedeur throwing insane passes, huge gains. Our yards per catch is going to go off the chart. 20 yard per catch. I mean, who knows what's going to happen at this point now. So I'm looking really forward to this. Now, let's go into the other half of this, which is Charles Kelly talking about the defense. And there are some pretty impressive stats here.
Why can't we be first? Why can't we be first? Why can't we be best at that? There is nothing more important you can do for your team on defense than to give them the ball. Yes. There's nothing more important than you can do. Why can't we be first? We got 4 games left. We got 4 games. Why can't we be first? 8 fumbles recovered. And I will say this, all right? They're not dropping the ball. They're getting the son of a knocked off of them. That's because you play hard. Why can't we be first? Why can't we be first? Got 10 interceptions. That's 7th in the country. We dropped 3 the other night. We dropped 3. Why can't we be first? 23 sacks. The leading sack leader in the country has 33. Why can't we be first? We had 2 other night. We had our hands on. We didn't get the guy down. 36% in the red zone. All right? Better red zone defense. But if we don't give up explosive plays, we don't have to play as tough in the red zone. All right? Just some comparisons right here.
Again, thank you for Well Off Media for posting this, because we don't get to see inside this, the locker room. We don't get to see inside the player coach meetings like we have this year because of Bucky and Well Off Media, and because of Uncle Neely and the pregame show, and because of Reach the People Media and Darius. These guys are out here really kind of keeping us informed and keeping us. That's where the hope is coming from. This is it. I mean, they're doing a great job of instilling in the fact that we're not going to go to Arizona and see the same thing that we saw in the last few games. And I for one, very much appreciate you guys. So Charles Kelly's talking about his defense and talking about we have 18 turnovers, which is tied for 4th in the country. We have 8 fumble recoveries, which is tied for 4th in the country. 10 interceptions, tied 7th. 23 sacks, tied 12th. That's a pretty impressive stat. I mean, for a long time we were talking about the defensive line not really being anything at Colorado, and yet the stats tell us a little bit different, right? And then 36% stop rate in the red zone, which is 14th in the country. So our defense, if you just look at these stats right here, and guys, there's a lot of other stats. There's our ability to stop the run, our ability to stop the pass. We know those are way down the list a little bit. But when you're talking about the fundamentals of football, we are still pretty good. And a lot of this came in the last few games. So not only are we surging on defense at this point, but our offense now has a glimmer of hope. There's a glimmer of hope. Pat Shurmur has come in and said, hey, we need to run the ball because it's good for the entire team. And you know what, Pat Shurmur? I think Buff Nation agrees with you 100%. And we are looking for a big change at Arizona so that we can unlock the passing game and get these receivers and Shedeur the stats that they, give them the stats that I know that they can get. And also get the time of possession on our side. I'm looking forward to this, guys. I am reinvigorated. My blood is flowing. I'm going to be at the stadium on Saturday, ready to go, ready to pound, ready to kill Arizona and stop their win streak and get the one more win, the necessary win that we need in order to go to a postseason bowl.